Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to Kendo Rant. It feels like ages since I last did a Kendo Rant, and it's only because I missed 1 week. Yes, I didn't do a Kendo Rant last week. Sorry about that. I was away at a seminar with some Hanshi Hachidan who came to the UK from Japan for the British Kendo Association's summer seminar. I was there as a translator, and it was a fantastic event. So before I jump into the questions, there's a couple of things I just want to talk about, a little bit of housekeeping as it were. I put up a video last week of video analysis of that video of the guy doing his Rokudan in Jodan. I kind of did a commentary video as it were. And it seems to have been really, really popular. So thank you very much, everyone who watched that video and enjoyed it. It's been really great, the feedback on it. So there's definitely more of that to come. You can let me know in the comments if there's any kind of videos or any videos particularly you'd like me to make a commentary video on. One thing I would say though is that was I think it was a 12-minute video, and that was from an originally 2 or 3 minute clip. All right, so if you kind of post a video that's like a 30-minute Shiai video and say, oh, can you do commentary on this? It's not really going to work. All right, it works better with the shorter clips. All right, so just a point on that. Also, I'm working hard on the episode 2 of Zero to Jodan. I do get quite a lot of people asking me when's the next episode coming. I'm working on it, all right? Do bear with me. I've got stuff in the works, but I am doing my best to get that out as soon as possible. And the other thing is, I did mention on the Facebook group, the Kendo Show Early Access Facebook group. If you're not in that, you should be in it. There's a link in the description below. I did mention on there about how I was at a seminar a couple of weeks ago in Edinburgh in Scotland, and a young boy was there. I'm not sure which one. There was a few young lads there. They were sort of like 11, 12 years old, I think, doing Kendo. I'm not sure which one, but shouted to me as I was walking away, "Bring back Kendo Gamer." And I posted a thing about it in the early access group, asking you if you'd like to see a return of Kendo Gamer. For those that don't know, Kendo Gamer was a channel that I ran a few years ago, both on Twitch and on YouTube, where I'd actually live stream talking about Kendo, taking questions from the chat and stuff like that, whilst playing on my PlayStation. So kind of combining the kind of love of Kendo and video games that many of us share. And yeah, the response to that in the early access group was super positive. It was an overwhelming amount of people that said they would like to see it come back. So that's something that I am working on. I'm going to work out a proper schedule, so every week we'll have Kendo Rant. It's not going to replace Kendo Rant, of course, or any of the other content that's coming. It's completely in addition. What's likely to happen is I'll come out with a schedule once I've got it all sorted. We'll have Kendo Rant coming up on a specific day of the week. Kendo Gamer streams will happen on another day of the week. And I'd like to explore more and more new avenues as well. We are actually expanding here at KendoStar, which is really, really great. I am growing the team, and as soon as I've grown it a little bit more, so that I can offload a little bit of my workload onto onto newer people, I can concentrate more on delivering more content to you. So with that being said, let's get straight into the questions. I've been jabbering on long enough. Right, the first one says, how do I face against Jodan in an exam? So obviously this is off the back of the video that I posted where I did the commentary on the guy doing his 6th dan in Jodan. What should you do if you're fighting against somebody in Jodan at your exam? Well, very much the same thing you should do if they're doing Chudan. It depends what grade you're going for, of course. But essentially, you should be trying to make positive strikes with Kikentai no Ichi that reach the level of Yuko Datotsu. If it's, let's call it a lower grade, so let's say below 4th dan, then that's what you should be trying to do. Don't forget you're allowed to hit their left kote now, as well as their right kote. But still be trying to make positive strikes that demonstrate your technical ability in Kendo. If you're trying to do it at a higher level, maybe 4th dan and above, then you also need to look at creating good opportunities, trying to apply semi still, while still making those successful strikes, or strikes at least that are meeting the criteria of Yuko Tatotsu. But in principle, there's no different thing you should do compared to when somebody's doing Jodan. The one thing I would say though is you have to just watch out for your distance, okay? Because they're going to want to fight at a further distance than you are. Next one. I've come back from Kendo after a break of 6 months and I don't feel confident in my left leg. My body is heavy. Is there any way to get back to confident and precision of the strikes? My arms are okay, but the lower side of my body from the hip is very bad. Okay, well, obviously, I don't know how much experience you had in Kendo before that. Before you took your break. The very best thing you can do is go back to your dojo, explain you've had a break and you want to come back, and what's their advice for how you can come back. But you know, there's no magic trick to say, right, this is how you get here's how you get you know, your footwork back, or here's how you get your sharp striking back, or here's how you get your technique back. It's just practice. You have to go back and practice, go back and do it. That's the only way. Unfortunately, there's no magic pill. There's no secret formula. You just have to go back and do it. Now, obviously, you've had a break out of it. Go back and speak to the people at your club, and they'll probably talk to you about the best way, the most appropriate way for you to join back in with the class, so that you can get back on with it. Okay, these next ones are from the Kendo Show Early Access group. Again, I said before, if you're not in the group, join the group. It's free to join. It's the best place to post your questions, and there's a link in the description down below. Right, when there's a difference, significant height difference, is it acceptable for the shorter Kenshi's men strike to land on the taller Kenshi's mengane if everything else, my Shisei Kentai no Ichi, are correct? Okay. Right, let me get a shinai so I can explain. Okay, right, back again. Okay, so I've got a shinai, and I've got a men as well, so we can talk about it. So when you're making a strike to the men, the ideal situation, of course, is that your strike connects both with the membuchi and the membuton, and the shinai is obviously got to make impact with the membuton. Basically, something like this. If you hit like this, of course, you can't make the Yuko Tatotsu, and you're going to bust up your shinai. Now, obviously, when this is somebody the same height as you, this is this is much easier to achieve. But if they're quite a lot taller than you, it can be a little bit harder. Now, they'd have to be extremely taller than you for it to be a particular difficulty for you to do the same type of cut, and you to only hit here. But it does happen, all right? It does happen. However, no, it's not acceptable for you to just hit them in the mengane, okay? Even if they're a lot taller than you. What you have to do is you have to adjust the height of your hands when you're making your strike. So if I just pop this men down here, normally if I was to make a men strike, now this is a short shinai course, all right? Just so I can fit it in the video. But if I was to make a men strike, somebody about the same height as me, I'd be striking with my hands at about this position, right? Something like this, yeah? Now, if they were much taller than me, I'd have to adjust the height of my strike like this, okay? Just like if they were shorter than me, I'd maybe have to adjust it a bit lower, yeah? I'd have to adjust it higher like this, yeah? If I do the same strike, then yes, I'm just going to smash them in the mengane. But if I adjust it this way, because I want the trajectory of the shinai when it travels through the air is going to come this way. It's going to come from above anyway. If I am just raising, essentially it's the relative point between where it contacts with the men and the tsuba, let's call it, right? Okay, the tsubamoto, if we call it like that, yeah? If I keep this where it is, then of course I'm going to hit the mengane, yeah? So I need to raise it so that I can make an accurate strike to the correct area, okay? And even on someone who's very, very tall, I don't have to raise it by that much, okay? If I raise it by this much, now this is far too tall, of course, for someone of my height, but if they're much taller than me, and I'm talking a lot taller than me, a good this amount taller, and there's not that many people around that are even taller than that, all right? That's enough to get that correct trajectory, okay? So no, it's not acceptable to smash him in the mengane, okay? You have to adjust your cutting position in order to make a correct strike with good tenuichi and sae against even a taller opponent. Okay, next one. Can I have some advice on getting a club member to pass the same grade you have? So, this is a good question, and I kind of cleared this up in the comments as well as to exactly what it means. But basically, what the person asking is they've achieved a specific grade reasonably recently, last year or so, and they've got someone in their club who's the grade below them, and they want to try and challenge for the same grade that they're at. So how can he help his friend get up to the same grade that he is? And even in this particular case, the person he's trying to help get up to that grade is actually a little bit more experienced than him. What you have to do in this situation is quite difficult, all right? Obviously, you know how to pass the grade because you've done it, all right? So all you can do is kind of talk to that person about what sort of strategy you applied to your grading, how you achieved that grade. And obviously, when you're practicing with them, you have to be honest with them and say, look, I don't think that's going to get you through the grade. I don't think that's going to work. And, you know, to some extent, you can only help them so much, right? They have to do it. You can't do it for them. It's a lot like when people ask me about like how, you know, oh, I'm a teacher, how can I get my students to do this better or do that better? You can only do so much. It requires, you know, you can't, the person themselves has to put that effort in and has to figure it out for themselves of how to achieve that specific goal. So like I say, the best thing you can do with them is practice with them honestly, with the goal of them, you know, you have to figure out really if they really do want to pass the grade or not, or whether they're quite happy at the level they're at. If they do want to pass the grade, then you have to agree with them, say, look, right, in this keiko now, in this practice now, we're going to look at, you know, that whatever dan it is, all right? And, you know, practice as if it's that grading, yeah? And then afterwards, be honest and say, look, I don't think that's good enough in this respect, or I think you need to do more like this, or that bit was good, you need to do more like that. And you have to be honest with them, and you have to agree beforehand probably to be honest about it, so no one gets upset. And then obviously, other than that, it's up to them to pull themselves up to it really. So yeah, I hope that helps. What would you say is the most notable impact of Kendo in Western life other than discipline, etc.? Well, that's a bit of an unusual question because Kendo is the idea of Kendo is to improve you as a person, and it's supposed to help you, yes, improve your discipline and your manners, your etiquette, of course. They're very obvious things. But I think the most thing, it's nothing to do with Western life. It doesn't matter if it's Western life or Eastern life, or Northern life, Southern life, it doesn't matter. The way Kendo affects your life, if you approach it with the correct mindset, and that's the real key, is it really fosters a spirit that kind of helps you keep going even through difficult times. You know, Kendo is about facing challenges and facing the challenges that we put in front of ourselves. It's about turning the sword back on oneself, really. And, you know, entering the tournament, entering the shiai, I lost. Oh, it's not my fault I lost, it's their fault I lost. The bad referees, bad this, bad that, didn't like the colour of the floor, didn't like the atmosphere, whatever. It's all nonsense. You have to turn it back on yourself and say, right, how can I improve? How can I you know, even whether it's the same whether you do shiai, whether you do grading. If you fail the grading, what happened? You have to be honest with yourself. You have to go back and look at it. If you pass the grading, you have to go back and look. Okay, what parts of that were correct, and was it just a fluke? And even in your everyday kick or everyday practice, you have to face your partners with sincerity, so that when you receive strikes, you have to be honest with yourself and use that to polish your spirit, in order to, you know, accept, okay, or even if it's a lower grade person, maybe they strike you. Oh, you can't just say, oh, no, you had bad kikentai no ichi or something like that. That's not the good way to improve. You have to consider how you can continually improve. And that, you know, that's a really difficult thing. And so is things like really difficult practice, doing loads of kirikaishi, loads of kakari geiko. And you know, I've been through practices that have been really, really horrible, and made me totally want to quit Kendo. I'm not even sure, you know, it's like someone asked me a few weeks ago, like, what's the most enjoyable part of Kendo or something like that. And it's like, I don't even know if I enjoy Kendo. I don't do it because I enjoy it. It's just part of my life, like, but, you know, those difficulties, those trials that I put myself through the hard practice have helped me so much in other aspects of my life. Whenever I've met difficult times in different areas, you know what I mean? It's like, it's really helped me develop the right mindset for that. And I think that is a large part of what the ningen keisei, the development of human character, of Kendo is really about. So yeah, bit lofty, but I think it's really true. Okay, next one. Is Jodan good for tall people? When is it right to start learning it? Okay, Jodan is good for tall people, but so is Chudan. It's one of the main advantages that Jodan, especially left Jodan, gives you is the ability to use left-handed single-handed waza, katate waza, which give you additional reach, which of course is something that's already beneficial to you if you are tall and have long limbs. That's why lots of people who are tall like to go to Jodan, because they're actually playing on their strengths already. I wouldn't say that it's better for tall people than Chudan, though. Some of the best, some of the best Chudan players in the world are very tall people, and it's, you know, they could very well go to Jodan and they'd have even more reach, but they're even better at Chudan. When is it right to start learning it? It's right to start learning it when you're able to make datotsu that are clearly meeting the criteria of Yuko Datotsu. So you're able to make strikes with good Kikentai no Ichi. Further, it's good to have a basic understanding of Datotsu no Kikai, the opportunities for striking, and to understand the basic elements of Semeai, so how your Seme and their Seme interact with each other. Most people don't get a grasp of that until at least third or fourth dan. So that's what I think. I have an injury to my left calf, so I can't jump. I have a switch on my foot. I have to switch my footwork so my left foot is in front. Is it okay to use even if you're not doing Jodan? Is it okay in a match to switch from Chudan to Jodan? So yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the rules that say which foot you have to have going forward and not. I just make sure that it's definitely, if it's just an injury it depends how permanent it is. I would, if it's an injury that's going to get better, I would rest until it's repaired before you start practicing again, rather than practicing with unusual footwork. I don't recommend practicing Chudan with your left foot forward. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, but I think part of the dynamic of Jodan is the relationship between the tame in the left leg and the actual grip of the shinai in the left hand. And the left side of the body is very, very important for Jodan. So I don't know. I think it's a bit. I don't think you'll have an effective Jodan with your right foot forward, which is why you don't see any really, really good Jodan players that put their right foot forward. And also, if you want to do Jodan, yeah, I mean, if your teacher or your club's happy for you to do that, that's one thing. It depends on how experienced you are. If you were at my club and you were quite sort of junior level, I'd probably be a bit concerned about letting you do Jodan, because if you're starting to rain down one-handed strikes and you haven't got a grip of Tenuichi yet, that could be quite dangerous. Having said that, if you're like second or third dan, then I'd have a totally different idea, you know. It is okay in a match to switch from Jodan to Jodan. Most people don't do it though, because it's not generally a really good strategy. But some I've seen it before. I've seen a few people do it before, and very rarely to some success. So. Next one. There are loads of available tenuguri designs out there. Is there anything that should be steered away from as too cutesy or undignified for kendo use? So the tenuguri, of course, is it's, you know, you're free to use whatever kind of tenuguri you want to use. You've heard what I said before about different coloured door dye and stuff like that. You know, in my opinion, you're totally free to use it whatsoever. I wouldn't, if I was an adult, I wouldn't like use one that was like a kid's cartoon character, you know, like Hello Kitty or something like that, just as I wouldn't go around wearing a t-shirt with that on it. But you know, if that's your thing, then that's fine by me. But the one thing I would do is, I haven't really seen it before, but like, make sure you stay away from anything that's like got any sort of obscenity on it, anything that's adult related content. Don't put swear words on it, or like you know, graphic illustrations and stuff like that. I can't imagine anyone doing that, but just don't do that. Sometimes kids do kendo and stuff, and it's not that sort of, you know, it's not cool to do that. It's not as cool as you think it is if you're the sort of person that thinks that's cool. But otherwise, no, it's free to choose whatever you want. What's your advice on how to approach Jigeko with people new to Bogu? How do I find the balance between giving enough resistance to challenge them and giving them space to practice their kendo? You're not going to like this answer. I don't let people new to Bogu do Jigeko as a general rule. Having said that, I know that some people do, and it depends on how you define new to Bogu. If you say within the first year of Bogu, then yeah, okay, you know, I have people that would be allowed to wear, you know, allowed to do Jigeko within that time frame. But what I certainly don't do is try to challenge them. Because it's kind of pointless. What I do is, if I'm doing Jigeko with somebody who is new to Bogu, and probably, to be honest, who is like quite a significantly lower grade to me, what I'm generally, probably like even Shodan, up to Shodan, I'm kind of doing a modified Uchikomi. I'm not really doing the Jigeko. And sometimes they don't get that, which is quite funny. But yeah, I don't want to encourage juniors. When I say juniors, I mean junior grades, to treat Jigeko as a competitive exercise, because it kind of is, but it's not really either at the same time. They should be trying to make strikes that meet the criteria of Yuko Datotsu at the opportunities that are presented before them. They're obviously not at a level in their kendo career that they're able to make those opportunities themselves. But as an instructor, if I allow them to feel like they're creating them, then that's something different. They can kind of get used to that a little bit more. And then, you know, when they kind of progress more, they might start to do it on their own. But like I say, like somebody's second week in Bogu, I wouldn't even let them do Jigeko. After that, like I say, to be honest, for the first I don't even know long, probably until the like Ikkyu. I wouldn't be acting as any sort of competitive entity to them at all. I'd be presenting targets for them to strike at opportunities that I think that I want them to recognize, and that's about it. Of course, I'd be striking them as well, but I wouldn't be like battering them. I'd just be striking them so they can get used to being hit, or sometimes being able to react when a strike that maybe I'll allow them to see the chance for a strike, but actually I'll hit a Debanawaza, and then I'll expect them to do maybe a Hikido or something and react to it. That's the best way. Okay. Next one. Not sure if you addressed this question before, but regarding weight training, as in using ankle, wrist, or torso weights during Kendo training, is it useful? Is it not useful, advisable? How does it differentiate from training Suburi with a Suburito? So if you put ankle weights on, or don't do it while you've got your Borgu on, all right? Don't put weights on and then start wearing your Borgu. Look, and I've seen like people in Japan, like crazy Kendo schools that like tie weights to themselves and then start doing kirikaishi. Don't do that. If it drops off, falls on your toe or something like that, you're going to have a problem. Don't do anything like that. You can put ankle weights on or wrist weights on while you do Suburi. It'll have a very similar effect to when you do Suburi with Suburito, especially if you put them on your wrists. Putting them on your ankles, I guess it's not bad, but I'd be very, very careful not to let it slow down your footwork. What you really want, Suburi isn't supposed to be muscular training. You can gain muscles, physical muscle from using Suburito, like the Suburi Bokken. Which can be quite useful, but if you only do Suburi with that, then you'll never learn how to do proper tenuchi. You won't actually be able to swing the shinai properly. It's just one of the tools that you use as part of your Suburi training. For one of the things you really do have to concentrate when you do Suburi, though, which people don't concentrate on enough, is bringing up the left foot quickly for that hikitsuke. And what I worry about is if you tie weights to your ankles, when you do that, you're going to move it up even slower than you already are. And I don't think that will help you, actually. What I have seen is the opposite. I've seen people tie pieces of elastic to their ankles so that when they push one out, it gets pulled up quickly. I don't really know if that works either. I haven't seen it work to a massive effect. I think you're best sticking to the traditional methods because they're so far the most proven and tested methods. Okay, last one. Can I speak? Hi, Andy. Can you speak about good posture? I speak principally about the back posture, core engagement, etc. Have you done research about it with a medical professional? So I asked a little bit about this when I saw the comment. But anyway, right. First off, a quick request for people. If you're going to put a question on to me, can we make it a question, not can you speak about? Because that's not a question. I could speak about all sorts of things about posture, but it's not right specific, But anyway, we'll go with it. So, yeah, you have to have good posture in Kendo. That's kind of the done thing, isn't it? That's what we all know is what we have to do. You have to keep your back straight. You have to push your shoulders back, kind of push your shoulder blades together a little bit, make good kamae, and almost feel like someone's pulling you to the ceiling by a string tied to the top of your head like this. Yeah, that's super important. And then you have to move from your lower body, especially from the hips. And that's what you have to do. I've got a video all about Ashisabaki and footwork in Kendo. Go and watch that. I talk a lot about it in there. And also the Suburi videos. In terms of have I done research about it with a medical professional, it's like I commented on it. No, I haven't done any research with it about a medical professional. I'm not quite sure why I would do that. I don't know what I'd ask him. I don't really look at it as a point of view with... I think you commented back on it. I only quickly skimmed over, but you did mention that if you don't have good posture, you could maybe injure yourself and stuff. That might well be true. I don't know. I haven't asked a medical professional about that. That isn't why I think that isn't why you have to do good posture in Kendo. You have to do good posture in Kendo so that you can make strikes that fill the criteria of Yuko Dototsu and Kikentai no Ichi. Okay. it may well be that if you don't have good posture, you might do yourself an injury. The best thing to do is to do Kendo with good posture and do it correctly, and then you won't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's the end of the video today. It was a bit of a long one because I missed out on last week's. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me a comment down below what you'd like me to rant about next time. Don't forget to shop at KendoStar, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.